Welcome dear student, this is a part 2 video of a chapter number 6, composition of matter of a standard 8 science. So let's see the chapter composition of a matter. Now student, today do you know water is a compound, and now let's see how the water is a compound. Okay, so water, a compound. Pure water is a compound formed by a chemical combination of elements hydrogen and oxygen. So students, if you see the chemical formula of water, is H2O. That means in this water we have two molecule of hydrogen, two atoms of hydrogen and one oxygen atom, which makes the water molecule, which makes a one water molecule. So whatever may be the source of water, the proportion of its constituent elements oxygen and hydrogen. Okay, now wherever we get the water, the composition or the proportion of its constituent element, that is oxygen and hydrogen, are same, that is 8:1. This is a proportion of oxygen is to hydrogen in the water. Okay, so oxygen is a heavier molecule than the hydrogen in the molecule of a water. So now students, however, the compound water formed by chemical combination of the gaseous elements hydrogen and oxygen is a liquid. So no students, it is neither. Okay, hydrogen is an inflammable gas. While oxygen gas supports combustion. Now students, hydrogen is inflammable. That means it is easily catches a fire, and oxygen gas supports the combustion. That means it supports the fire, it helps the fire. However, the compound water formed by chemical combination of the gaseous element hydrogen and oxygen is a liquid. It is neither inflammable nor does it support combustion. That means whenever the hydrogen and oxygen in an isolated form, they does not catch the fire, neither it is inflammable. That means they does not catch a fire, or they do not support in burning the fire. On the contrary, it helps to extinguish the fire. That means it helps these molecules in isolated form remove and diminish, in water molecule, these two, the hydrogen and oxygen atom, helps to extinguish fire. That means remove and diminish the fire. Now we will see how the milk is a mixture. Okay students, milk is a mixture of water, lactose, fats, protein and a few more natural substance. Now see students, in milk we have the lactose, water, fats, protein and a few more natural substance. That means mixture is a substance. In mixture is what we get easily separate them from each other. That means easily we get separate water, lactose, fats, protein and other molecules from the milk. So this is how the milk is a mixture. It is a mixture, not a compound like a water. Like water is a compound and milk is a mixture. Now students, the proportion of various ingredients of milk is different as per its source. The proportion of fats in cow milk is 3 to 5%, while it is 6 to 9% in buffalo milk. That means in buffalo milk, the proportion of the fat composition of a fat is more than the cow's milk. The ingredient water is naturally present in large proportion in milk. Now see students, milk is in liquid form. Why? Because the proportion of a water is more in the milk, that's which makes the milk liquidy. Therefore, milk exists in a liquid state. The sweetness of milk is due to the ingredient called lactose. So lactose is a type of a sugar which is present in a milk, and the sweetness of milk is due to the lactose sugar. In other words, the property of the constituent substance are retained in milk. That means see, the property of water is separate, the property of lactose is separate. So these properties are present in the mixture also. Now students, let's see the type of elements. Now to see the type of elements, students, we have to perform one activity. That for that activity we required a aluminium wire, copper wire, iron nail and piece of a coal, and we have to rub each object on a fresh surface of a sandpaper. Okay, so students, we have to separately rub each object with the help of a fresh surface of a sandpaper and hammer each object with a force, and we have to record observation in the table. Now students, on page number 42 you have given one table in which 3 columns are there. For one for objects, is the surface shining? Yes. Now see students, this observation table has been made on the basis of after rubbing the object along a surface of sandpaper. That means after rubbing the object with the surface of a sandpaper, whether the object is shining or does not. And second is, does the shape flatten, break into small pieces on hammering? Now let's see the first object, that is iron nail. So while rubbing along the surface of a iron nail with the sandpaper, it shines. Okay, and copper, and its shape will be flattened. Copper wire, after rubbing with the sandpaper, it will shine and the shape will be flattened. Aluminium wire, yes, it will shine and the shape will be flattened on hammering. Coal piece, it does not shine and it will breaks into pieces. Now students, elements have different physical properties. The objects in the above activity are made of the elements like iron, copper, aluminium and carbon respectively. Okay, now students, you have noticed that the element has different physical properties like luster or paleness, malleability or brittleness. Now student, what is luster? That means the object which appears like glow, and paleness means lightness in the color of an object. Malleability, shape can be changed, and brittleness, that means an object is liable to break into small pieces. So according to these properties of elements are classified as follows. So elements are classified elements in earlier times, elements were classified only into metals and non-metals. After invention of new elements, a new type of metalloid is discovered. Now let's see a brief discussion about the metal, non-metals and metalloids. Now students, first we will see the metal like lead, tin, copper. Okay, metals are the elements that are shiny and are good conductors of heat and electric current. They are malleable, that means they can be hammered into thin sheets. They are also ductile, that means they can be drawn into thin wires. Non-metals are elements that are dull, not shiny and that are poor conductor of heat and electric current. Solids tend to be brittle and unmalleable. Few familiar objects are made of only non-metals. Now what are the metalloids? Students, metalloids are also called as a semiconductors. That means in between metals and non-metals. They have properties of both metals and non-metals. Some metalloids are shiny, some are dull. Metalloids are somewhat malleable and ductile. Some metalloids conduct heat and electric current as well. That means metalloids are present, have the characteristic in between metals and non-metals. Now students, let's see the types of a compound. Now to see this type, to understand the types of a compound, we have to perform one activity. So for this purpose, we need some chemicals like camphor, washing soda, blue vitriol, sugar, glucose and urea. Now let's perform the activity. Now apparatus which we need for this experiment is evaporating dish, as you can see in the figure, tripod stand and burner, etc. Okay, now students, keep the evaporating dish on the tripod stand as shown in the figure. Take some camphor in the evaporating dish. Heat the camphor in the dish strongly with the help of a burner. Find out what remains behind in the evaporating dish and repeat the above procedure using limestone, washing and all the above and all the chemicals just now we have seen in the previous slide. record the and we have to record the observation in this table. So students, here observation table is given also on page number 42. Okay, so in this observation table we have three columns. First, indicating the powder in the evaporating dish, whether there was a residue, no residue in the evaporating dish, and color of a residue. Now students, what is the residue? It is a remaining particle, remaining powder after the combustion of or after the heating of a lead camphor substance or limestone. Okay, that residue, simply residue is a remaining powder after heating the compound. Okay, so first is camphor. So after heating the camphor, no residue remaining, and color of the residue, as no residue remaining, so does not have any color. Limestone, some amount of residue will be there. That means some amount of residue will be there. Okay, and that residue is in white color. On heating, some compounds give residue while others do not give any residue. Or give a blackish residue. That means after heating the compound, some compounds give a residue, means a blackish colored powder. Okay, and some compound does not give, and some compound gives a blackish residue on heating. The black residue which remains after the heating of a compound is mainly made up of a carbon. Now students, we will see the type of a compound. In that, first is a organic compound. So moreover, when such compounds are strongly heated in air combined with oxygen to form some gaseous substance, in case their combustion is not complete, black colored carbon remain behind as residue. So these compounds are called organic compounds or carbon compounds. So student, what is the organic compound? The compounds which on heating remains some give some residue or blackish colored particles or powder, they are called as a carbon compound, as the blackish residue is contain carbon. So these are called as organic compound or carbon compounds. Now students, for example, materials like carbohydrate, proteins, hydrocarbons, or hydrocarbons, for example petrol, cooking gas, are made of organic compound, and these organic compound which we have and present in our body, which we are taking inside with the food. Now we will see the next type of a compound, that is inorganic compound. The compound that decompose on strong heating to leave a residue behind are inorganic compound. An inorganic compound can be considered as a compound that does not contain a carbon to hydrogen bond, also called a CH bond. So some of the examples of inorganic compounds are common salt, soda, rust, glue, vitriol, limestone. Now we have another type of a compound, that is a complex compound. Okay, so the molecules of compounds formed by many atoms, and in the center of this structure metal atoms are present. These are complex compound. Now basically, what are the complex compound? In which the metal atom is a central atom is called as of metal, and many of the molecules are present around that central atom. So these compounds are called as a complex compound. Now let's see the example. Now students, you can see picture in which you can see two types of a compound, that is human blood, hemoglobin. Next is a plant chlorophyll. Okay, so human blood, which hemoglobin, which is present in the human blood, you can see the structure of this hemoglobin. In that you can see Fe or ferrous ion, which is a metal. Okay, ferrous ion in the metal. And next is chlorophyll, that contains magnesium, metal ion. Okay, magnesium is a metal ion which is present at the center of the plant chlorophyll. Now next is a cyanocobalamin, that is vitamin B12, so that contain cobalt in the middle. Cobalt is what? Metal atom present in the center. Now we will see the chemical bonds. Students, chemical bond means that forces that hold groups of atoms together and make them function as a unit. That means two atoms, like so we can take an example of a common salt, like and sodium and chlorine. in between the bond will form, so that they work as a function as a unit. A chemical bond is an attraction between atoms brought about by a sharing of electrons between two atoms. That means a sharing of electrons between two atoms takes place to form a chemical bond. Okay, and a complete transfer of electron. That means bond can be formed by two methods. Either the sharing of a electron between two atoms. Okay, sharing. That means two or three, like, or a complete transfer of electron. Okay, when a chemical bond is formed, energy is released. Student, this was about today's topic. Next part of this chapter we will continue in our next session. Thank you, students.